Hi guys, what's going on? Good morning to everyone. Hope you're all doing well this morning. Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully this isn't your first video, but if it is, welcome along. Hopefully I can encourage you to stay and come see some more. So, 1 second. Rush hour. Yeah, so today just gonna have a look at what happened last night in the Champions League. Hopefully everyone got to watch at least one of the games and got to see the highlights. I myself was watching the PSG Liverpool game, and I saw bits of the Inter and final game, and wow. So I did some predictions yesterday on the games, and if I was correct in saying I got maybe one of the results correct. I think Inter final is probably the gimme. That's probably the easy one in terms of calling the 2-0 scoreline. It just seemed like it was going to be a sort of 2-0 game. But it wasn't a typical routine 2-0 win, you know. I think final had some chances. Their keeper kept them in the tie with that penalty save. And Inter didn't look as good as they have in previous years, to me anyway. Maybe that's just off the one game there, but they didn't feel as silky going forward. Maybe that's not the word, like a well-oiled machine they were before. You know, they were like churning out chances last couple of years with Lautaro up front and Thuram, but in the end they just punished them. That's as plain and simple as that, you know. They were just better and they put them to the sword, and that's what good teams do in Europe, you know. There's not really much I can say on that tie. It was what we expected. It's probably going to be the same again in the second leg, as long as Inter take their eye off the ball. And if they'd scored that third, the penalty, then I think they would have been as good as through, to be honest. And then, so yeah, I'll leave it at that because I don't want to milk that one too much. Then we had the big one, PSG Liverpool, which was a shock, I think. Not in terms of the result, in terms of Liverpool winning, but I mean, in terms of the way the game went. I thought there would be goals in the game. I thought Liverpool would actually have a foothold in the game. They were on the back foot for 85 minutes in that game, basically. They had the one adventure up the field, basically, and then that was it, you know. So it was very surprising. I think it's the most we've seen Liverpool pegged back this season by a team, apart from that Wolves second half where they didn't have a shot. It was very impressive from PSG. I think it's the most impressive I've seen them play in Europe, and that includes their run to the Champions League final. They were dominant, you know. Kvaratskhelia was tearing them apart at times, and they didn't want to get near him, and he was very unlucky to have his goal chalked off. Hopefully, if this new offside rule can come into place, where they're saying it has to be like your upper body, as long as your upper body's on side, you're fine. They'll get rid of those little toes and heels. But I thought he was very unlucky. He took his goal really well, and yeah, PSG was so impressive. Dembele was electric on that right wing, like we were saying before the game. He was playing through the middle as well, but yeah, there was a couple of times on that right wing he was just burning them. And then Barcola, I don't understand how it wasn't a red card. I'm a defender myself, and I know in that position Konate has not gone for the ball. He's just pushed him off it, but he's tried to ease him off it so it looks like he's just, like, you know, he's just been weak and gone down. That's what Konate's done. He's quite smart in doing it, but he's not won the ball at the end of the day. It is a goal scoring opportunity, and it should have been a red card, in my opinion. Obviously I'm not a referee, but I think for everyone who's played the game, and I've played the game, but it would look like a red card. And I think Liverpool got very lucky there. I don't think there was a penalty involved in there, but it could have been, in terms of the other incident in the game. But Liverpool just did a classic European smash and grab. You know, it was old school almost, that sort of game where they just sat in. And I think the difference between the two sides, if I'm being honest, was the keepers. Alisson was outstanding for the entirety of that match. He was pulling out world-class saves left, right and centre the whole game. And Donnarumma had one chance to make a save and it kind of parried it through his arms. I know it was a good finish from Harvey Elliott, but it wasn't quite in the corner, and I do think Alisson saves that. And Donnarumma's about, what, a couple of inches longer wingspan than him. So whenever I've seen Donnarumma play, I've always heard he's just really great keeper, you know, coming through. And I think when he started, yeah, I rated him. But then I just watch him and I'm like, he doesn't do basics right. You know, he doesn't. I don't know if you guys watch much of PSG, but let's say when crosses come in for corners and stuff, he reminds me of Vicario a little bit. He hates crosses at corners, and it doesn't make sense. The guy's like 6'6", 6'5". He should be so early gone that he's not. So I just think he's in that bracket of players who are meant to be good, but just aren't. Or they just don't. They just never perform in the big stage. I think he's amazing. Don't get me wrong, at penalties, amazing. You know, he's quality at penalties. I remember the Euros final, like, he looked like a monster in that goal with the size of him. But I think outside of that, whenever I've seen him play, he just doesn't scream world class to me. But when I watch Alisson, it's just calm, composed. When he needs to do his job, he does his job. And that's what you want from a keeper, you know. He was outstanding for them yesterday. When the defence wasn't having their best game, PSG were getting chances, you know. It wasn't like it was just PSG controlling the game, having a few pot shots here and there. They were getting good chances, and Alisson was playing probably his best game of the season. Barcola could have had a couple. Dembele was wreaking havoc. Kvaratskhelia definitely could have had a couple. So this tie is not dead. From what we've seen from that game, this tie is not dead. But Liverpool have done really well to get out of there somehow with a 1-0 win. You know, it's like this old school. It's a Mourinho sort of result. Yeah, if you just see that 15 years ago from Mourinho, you'd be like, yeah, that's just what he does. You know, 1-0 away at PSG, standard. So this tie is not dead yet, but Anfield should be enough to carry Liverpool through, which sounds stupid, but obviously Anfield on a Champions League night, it does hit different for them. Like, it just does. But I would be very surprised if we saw the same sort of game. I cannot imagine Liverpool conceding that much possession, that many chances against PSG again. Which means I think you might end up seeing the game that I was thinking about yesterday. In my prediction, I always went for the 2-2 draw. I thought the game would be a lot more open, a lot more balanced, a bit more end to end, but we just didn't see it. PSG controlled it, you know. But like I said, I would be very surprised if that happened again next week. So I think we're going to end up seeing that end-to-end game next week. You might even see Liverpool controlling it like PSG did today. But again, I'd be very surprised because of the pace PSG have in that team. Liverpool can't afford to go high on them. You know, Trent did not want to go up against Barkley yesterday. You know, we know Trent's capabilities defensively. They've improved, but he's still not a great defender. You know, I think I've seen a stat that in the top 5 leagues in Europe, Trent has been taken on draw pass the most of any player. And you've got to think that Liverpool have the ball for most of the game normally. So that's quite a concern, really, if you think about it. Obviously, if he goes Madrid, he'll have less issues in that regard in the future. But it has to be a concern for Liverpool in this next tie. And I do think if Conor Bradley was fit for this next game, he might actually take Conor Bradley. Because realistically, he doesn't need to play Trent next game. They're already 1-0 up. They don't concede, they're through. That's how he's got to look at it now. And fair play to Slot yesterday, you know. The change to bring off Salah, I don't think he's done it very often in this season. Mo Salah plays 90 minutes basically every single game. So to take him off, even in the 85th minute, fair play, because 30-40 seconds later, Harvey Elliott has the fresh legs, sprints up the field, and they nick the goal. You know, he took it really well. Had Mo Salah been on the pitch, would he have been there? Potentially, but he might not have been. You know, Harvey Elliott had them fresh legs to be able to sprint forward like that. Salah might have been a couple of yards behind. He might have got there a little bit later and having to take an edge of the box shot. So, yeah, credit to Slot. He's done it again. You know, he's done it again. And I can't see how Liverpool let it slip from here. But like I said before, the tie's not dead. PSG are more than capable of getting a goal or two at Anfield. Liverpool have actually been better on the road this season than at Anfield, I'm pretty sure. You know, their only losses have come at Anfield in the league. 1-0 to Forest. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I definitely will be watching that one next week out of all these games still. The tie is still very much alive, but I still fancy Liverpool to get past them. So then we move on to Leverkusen Bayern Munich, which again, wow, that was a shock. I think we haven't seen a dominant Munich performance against Leverkusen for a while, and that was definitely a statement of intent from them, saying, look, we're serious about this competition now. And they should be, you know. Harry Kane was meant to be that sign-in for them that would push them to that Champions League title. You know, that's what they bought him for. They didn't buy him to win Bundesliga, they bought him for the Champions League. And obviously in the first season, it clearly failed because they didn't win the Bundesliga. So they need a big performance, and they needed a big Harry Kane performance as well. And he delivered. Fair play, you know. I know he's been getting his critics out in Germany, saying he doesn't turn up in big games for them. And it's something that's been levelled at him with England as well. And I'm not going to be one that hides away from that fact that I've said that as well myself. On occasions he can hide. Not in terms of not wanting the ball, but just not performing on big stages. But yesterday he certainly did. You know, he was clinical. The header was perfect for that opening goal. Penalty, he won it himself. I don't know what the defender was thinking. Taps it. I was watching that just going, that's just stupid. Like, I don't understand why defenders grapple with strikers still. I get it when the ball's out of play, but when the ball's in play, it's coming over. You can see the ball's coming towards it, but you have to let go. You cannot keep holding him. Back in the day when there was no VAR, yeah, fine, you get away with it. Now you're not getting away with that. You know, it was just stupid. And obviously Michael Oliver was on VAR as well, so hence why it took a little bit of time. But they got the right decision in the end, you know. I think it was just, I don't understand why he did it. You know, it just didn't make any sense to me. You should have understood the situation and realised, I need to let go here. I need to let go here. Because he might not even got the ball. He might not have even got the ball. And then he's just giving away a penalty for no reason. Yeah, Leverkusen just lost their heads in the second half. Because the red card was a similar situation as well. I don't understand what he's done. Like, why he's done it. Coman was going back towards his own goal from a throw on. And he's just stamped on the back of his Achilles. Like, it reeked. Oh, you know, it reeked of frustration. Those two incidents were just frustration. Like, they it wasn't going well for them, and they just took it out on the Bayern players basically, and then got themselves sent off. So it wasn't a good performance from Leverkusen. It's probably their worst performance they've had against Munich in a while, and probably their worst performance in Champions League this season, you know, which is a bad time to have it at. But they, like I said, when I went to watch them against Atletico Madrid, they weren't convincing in that game. First half they were, but as soon as it got stuck on them a bit by Atletico, they crumbled a bit, and it happened yesterday, you know. They weren't convincing again, and they got punished. They didn't create enough going forwards. Frimpong should have taken his chance against Neuer, but it was a great save, to be fair to Neuer. And then they just never looked like they had a foothold in the game, and the game got taken away from them, you know. I think the tie is pretty much dead there. I think the only reason that we look at the tie and say it's not quite dead is because obviously we know last season Leverkusen beat Bayern Munich 3-0, which would be enough to get the tie to extra time. But I think that tie is all but wrapped up now. I'd be very surprised if Bayern Munich let it slip from here, because company knows what he has to do now. He just has to go there and not concede, or just play a bit more on the back foot, you know, hold what they've got, hit them on the counter, and they'll go through in that tie. I think it was very poor from Leverkusen, and maybe it's a bit of Champions League experience coming in, you know. I think that's probably what I didn't take into account looking at that fixture. Leverkusen haven't really been in the Champions League for a while. Obviously they had the Europa League last season, they got to the final, but Champions League is very different. I know as an Arsenal fan, when we were in the Champions League for the first time last season, it's very different playing in it, you know. We played Bayern Munich last season, and I know everyone was confident coming into it, but it's still Bayern Munich, you know. They can still turn it on at any point. Yeah, so I see that tie all but done. I think they'll just use their experience in that second leg and get through. It'll be like a 1-1 draw or something like that, you know. And then finally we've got Barcelona against Benfica, which again was not what I expected. I don't think anyone expected that sort of game, you know. 1-0 Barcelona, and they fair play to them. They dug in, you know. They didn't do what I thought they would do. Obviously that high line kind of came into it with the red card, and he's 18 years old. He's going to learn from it. He's still a quality player, Pau Gassi, but he's going to learn from that, you know. He's better off letting him go, and he scores the goal, you know. That's how it is, because they might have won the game yesterday. On another day they don't win that game, you know. I'd say 80% of the time you probably don't win that game because of the 10 men for 70 minutes. But again, it was quite similar to the Liverpool PSG game, although in this sense PSG were unlucky in terms of the keeper having an absolute world-class game with Alisson. I thought Benfica's clinical finishing just wasn't there. I thought that they made it a bit too easy for Barcelona in their attacking. You know, they didn't create enough clear-cut chances. Szczesny made a couple good saves, but they were saves that I would expect him to make, you know. I wasn't going to my screen like, oh my god, he's made that save again. You know, he hasn't tipped any around the post like that. He's made a couple good ones, but nothing that is out of the ordinary for him. So I found, obviously you've got to fancy Barcelona taking it back to the new camp and getting a result there. And Rafinha just punished them in that instance. And there, you know, Benfica gave the ball away 25-30 yards out from their own goal. Bit of a sloppy pass, you know, just not looking where he's passing it. Rafinha latched onto it and absolutely rifled it into the bottom corner, you know. It was an absolute finish and a half. and he's going to give Salah a run for his money with this Ballon d'Or from the looks of it. So obviously Arsenal are taking a 1-0 lead back to the new camp. You would fancy them at this point just to keep it tight, but it's not how they play, you know. It's not how they play to keep it tight at the back and sit in. They're still gonna play that high line of theirs, you know. They're still gonna push forwards, and they should, you know. It's only 1-0. They're gonna need more goals, and yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for coming along today. There'll be hopefully another video coming out tonight, but thank you for coming along. Comment down below if you enjoy this sort of video, like I said before. If you want to hear me talk about any other topics in particular, I'm going to try and do some more like generic topics, and not just focus on like current games and stuff. I'm going to try and venture out a bit more. So yeah, let me know if there's anything you want me to discuss. It is helping on my way to work, you know. It's only 20-30 minutes on my way to work, but it does pass by the time. So yeah, thank you guys for, and yeah, have a good day.